Hello, this is Austin with Josh's Frogs, and today I'm going to be talking about the Amazon milk frog, or the Mission goldeneye frog. The scientific name for these guys is Trachycephalus resinifictrix. I believe that the species name resinifictrix refers to this milky toxin that they'll secrete if you stress them out or if they get stressed out by a predator. It's a very sticky, smelly substance that's secreted off of their skin, and so when handling, you always want to make sure that you're washing your hands afterwards, even if you're wearing gloves, just in case you were to accidentally get some of that on your skin. This is an adult female milk frog. They're typically about 2.5 to 3 inches long, and they stay this nice blue coloration under nice lighting, so make sure that you're using adequate LEDs or compact fluorescent bulbs. You can provide them with UV light. Tropical levels are good, so that would be your 5.0s, 100s, and the ones that are actually labeled as tropical. These frogs are arboreal. They breed in tree holes, and those fill up with water. Males will advertise, call to females. Females will come, they'll amplex them, give them a big hug around their backs, and fertilize the eggs. A cool behavior that this species has, though, is after a couple of days, the male will have stayed in that tree hole, call again, get another female to come and amplex her, but this time he doesn't fertilize the eggs, he just allows the female to lay those eggs, and there is now a bunch of tadpoles swimming around in that tree hole, and it's basically food for the newly hatched tadpoles. So it's one of the more unique parental care that they have for this species. Setting them up in captivity, they need about an 18 by 18 by 24 amount of space. So your Exoterra Zoomed 18-18-24s. You can also do a 20 high for a single frog with your standard aquarium sizes. But those 18-18-24s are around 35 gallons. A 40 breeder would also work, but that's getting up there in like your width, and they definitely appreciate a little bit more height. These guys, because they like to breed in tree holes, love cork tubes. So if you give them cork tubes, a lot of times they'll kind of just hang out inside those. Try not to let his friend go, who is being a little bit of a spaz. It didn't work. This is another one. It's a little bit more rambunctious right now, so I don't really want to hold him. He's just gonna try to jump away. The other one was being very good. And yeah, if you're handling these frogs and they are getting jumpy like that, usually it's a good idea to kind of just put them away. But these guys right here are the babies that we would be selling. They are just about to hit the size that we would like to sell them. As babies, they're a little bit less blue. So you can see these guys are more in like the black and white phase of their life cycle. Their patterns vary, so a lot of them will have the like 2 nice brown or black bars. A lot of the ones that we have now are getting kind of more of a lava lamping pattern, so that's fun. But yeah, these guys, once they hit about 1 inch long in length, that's when we start shipping them out to customers. As babies, they need a little bit less space than the adults. So we usually recommend keeping them at least for a couple of weeks in a temporary enclosure. Line it with a damp paper towel. You can make sure that you're watching them eat their crickets, poop normally, get a feel for their behavior so that you're more familiar if something is going wrong when you move them into their new enclosure. So if you put a frog this size by itself in an 18-18-24, it's very easy for it to kind of just like disappear, and you don't have the ability to monitor it. But if you allow it to grow out a little bit before you add it to that tank, you're familiar with its behaviors, you know that it's eating and pooping normally, and you don't have to worry about it once you move it in. And if you notice something wrong, you can always move it back, adjust some things with the tank, make sure everything's good, and then try again later. These frogs are usually pretty chill, unless you startle them or they're kind of just like in their dormant period that they do during the day, because they are nocturnal. They're going to be a lot more active during the nighttime. So if you startle it awake, you're going to end up like the one that you saw kind of jump around. Wasn't very happy. Definitely needed to be a little bit more cautious when picking him up. But again, that's stuff that you can pick up when you have them in a temporary enclosure and watch the behaviors more closely. Again, these are Amazon milk frogs, Trachycephalus resinifictrix. Definitely one of my favorite frogs that we work with here at Josh's Frogs.